But then United have managed to boil Arsenal piss again, which is always a good thing, by bringing in Chido Obi-Martin, young player that's been absolutely smashing it at Arsenal on a free transfer after he refused Arsenal's contract offer. United have given everything to try and convince this kid to sign, and he's even been given a private tour. The financial offer was supposedly twice what Arsenal was offering, which does give me a little bit of pause at times, to be honest, but if they're saying this kid's going to be worth it, then it is what it is. The next step isn't necessarily confirmed for him, but it looks very straightforward. It looks like it's going to just absolutely happen. United even enlisted the help of Ruud van Nistelrooy to tell him what his personal plan for developing him was. And I love that. And then you have to question, where was Arsenal doing this? Where was Arsenal getting some legends or coaching staff in to tell this kid what they were going to do with him? He's obviously seen the light with United, known that we can help develop him, and probably wants to work with Ruud van Nistelrooy as well. So what is he all about? So he's Danish. He's a little bit of a freak in terms of the profile that he is as a striker. He's got freak physicality and actually dead-eye finishing, which means he's a very, very high prospect striker for the future. And he's not just your typical academy forward as well, which I've spoken about quite a few times. You see young strikers that are all technicality, but maybe not quite got the physical side, or they're risk averse, or there's always something like academy striker doesn't necessarily feel like a great thing. But I think it's a little bit different with Obi-Martin, and he's not a boy in terms of physique either. He's 6'2" right now, which means he's actually physically ready for the Premier League right now on that front. Whether or not he's got the mental maturity and whether or not he's got the rest of the skills is obviously going to be up for debate, and something we'll find out in due course. He's very agile. I would say that gets reflected in the sort of pace that you see him play with. Ian Wright has been one that's been absolutely showering him with praise, describing him as really quick. And one of the greatest qualities that he's got is the ability to make opportunities for himself. Something that Howson was criticised for, right or wrongly, last season, that he wasn't creating enough chances for himself. Well, Obi-Martin makes things happen for himself. He's pretty good with dribbling. He seems to have no fear when it comes to possession. And he's proven his worth for Arsenal ever since he joined. He's only been there 2 years. At 15, he already established himself as a starter for the under-18s, and his youth league debut marks a bit of a landmark in his career, as a player with ambition. He then established himself in Premier League 2, where he scored a hat-trick against Southampton early in the season. Arteta was developing great faith in him, and that faith was evidenced by Obi-Martin training with the first team on a regular basis. Being in and around the first team setup would have done wonders for his confidence, but it also shown that he was being considered for the next step at Arsenal. Now his focus is on getting that top-level sort of exposure. Now, the way Obi moves, he's been likened to a young Ibrahimovic, and with his size, that might not be a bad sort of person for him to look to emulate. His physical dominance makes him stand out for players far beyond his years, and he's going to get coached by Ruud van Nistelrooy. If he gets an opportunity to train with the first team, we're going to find out just how good this kid really is. And we've spoken about the effect of Ruud on both Højlund and on Xerxes, but can you imagine what it would do for a 16-year-old centre-forward? And Ruud's not a small guy either, so he can. It's not like having a very small sort of tricky forward. Not the same style as Ruud, but he could have the same style as Ruud, which means that the places he'll be receiving the ball, the areas that defenders will be marking him, the sort of proximity to the goal that he'll be receiving the ball would end up being quite similar to Ruud. And Ruud himself wasn't even a centre forward until I think he was 18. So he's had to learn a lot of this in a different way than most people would have learnt it, which might make him a real great teacher to someone. Because you get a lot of teachers who just got that natural kind of ability, and they don't know how to pass it on because they just had it naturally. They didn't have to work at it. Well, Ruud being a central midfielder coming through at Heerenveen before given the opportunity as a striker, and then once he was a striker, just being an absolute dead-eye goal machine, tells me that there's going to have been some study and some work that got him to that sort of place. The lad in training that he's going to get paired up with, and Shadow is another Danish striker. That's got to be interesting for him, in obviously Rasmus Højlund. So there's a pathway, there is a connection, And it's a partnership even that could even potentially reach the national team for them. I think this is a pretty good signing to make. Like, you know, I didn't know anything about him a couple of weeks ago. I took my time to try and have a bit of a watch of him, and I do like him. I think there's a lot to like, and you know, there's all sorts of reports coming out that he scored 10 against these and 5 against these, and he's a kid that knows where the back of the net is for sure. Doesn't always translate to men's football, especially if he's someone that's maybe relied on the size that he's got a little bit. But watching him, he doesn't just seem like a bit of a size bully. He uses technicality and he uses movement. So that's the sort of thing that you go, okay, that does translate to men's football. So let's hope he can translate that to men's football and, you know, get the deal done. And let's find out what this kid's all about. But, you know, it's all but done as it stands right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in a United shirt. Whether or not he'll feature in the first team in his first 12 months is, you know, remains to be seen. But this is a kid with a high ceiling for sure. So this is a really exciting signing. News that's coming out as well is that United have reached a full agreement to sign another 16-year-old from Palace, which is Samuel Lusale. So United aren't messing about here. They are doing a little bit of work, bringing in some 16-year-olds with high potential. It's going to be very interesting to see how the crop of youngsters that we seem to be recruiting. You've got to remember, Lenny Yoro's only a couple of years older than these at 18. You know, add that to the likes of Kobe Mainu, to Collier, to Amas. There's a young core being developed here at Manchester United, and if they can get that young core to have the right sort of mentality, mindset, and work ethic, doing extras, you know, you could end up with a quite special generation here of Manchester United players that all mature around the same sort of time and all go on to win things at a similar sort of time. It's exciting, man, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.